Alright guys, it's Carlo here and I'm back for part 3 of my level design tutorial, which will focus on modular geometry and the concept of grey boxing your levels. So in this video we're going to go through making a hub level for an MMO RPG. Now, right now, as it stands, theme does not matter. What matters is layout. But you should know that a hub world has to reflect the theme of your game overall. It's important because if your hub world doesn't sort of carry the sort of feel of the world around the hub, it's going to look very different. It's going to feel very weird. I don't know why, that's just how it is. But onto level design. Now, for this particular level, I'm going to just go through the basics. So forget about theme for now, but just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, as you can see here with the colors and the gray and the little people capsules, there's a little bit of activity, but there are some key things that I want to address, and these are things that are wrong with this particular scene. First thing are the shops, the distancing between the shops. I don't want to have to run around the entire level looking for a crafting shop. So, somewhere where I can buy crafting materials or crafting equipment. I want them to be somewhere that is close by. It's there, it's reachable. I can get to it, I can buy it and move on. So this blue shop here and this green shop are prime examples of weird distancing, whereas in stark contrast you've got these two buildings here which are pretty close together. So that's the first problem that's been addressed. The second problem here is isolation, or at least using cramped spaces, which really is this orange area here, which is supposed to be some sort of meeting place indicated by the 4 little capsule dudes over there. And this red area here is sort of like an open market where players can sell their equipment directly to other players. So special equipment from a premium store or their own crafted equipment as well. The next thing is, alright, that was isolation, by the way, alright? So, you could tell that, they're separate, they're sort of in cramped spaces, and it's not really open. MMO, come on, open spaces. The third thing wrong with this scene is wastage. Wastes of space. Wastes of space. Well, that's pretty hard to say. In particular, this corner here, this alleyway here, the alleyway up there, and sort of pretty much this entire area here, that's all wasted. I can fill that in with something like, I guess, quest areas, but I'm not concerned about that right now. What does matter is that right now it looks like a waste of space. So I guess if I indicated that one of these buildings is important in some way, then of course it wouldn't be a waste of space, but as it stands right now, it is. So that's sort of one thing you want to avoid with MMO, or at least RPG games in general, is that you don't waste any space. A good example of not wasting space is games such as Resonance of Fate, the hub world at the beginning. That's sort of well, the hub world, yeah, actually, it doesn't waste space because the camera is fixed, and so there's only one real logical sort of pathway through the hub world, through the hub area. So there really is no concern for using wasted space. Leaving wasted space, which is good. You don't want to sort of have an area that no one will ever visit. It's the worst thing that any level designer should fear, really. Ignorance. Or at least somebody that will ignore part of your level. That's, yeah, you don't want that. It's inefficient and a waste of time and space. Alright, so how do we sort of fix those problems? Example 2 is how we fix the problems. Alright, sort of imagine yourself entering from either end of this large main street, which again, this sort of eliminates the problem of isolation. If you enter from up here, you sort of get introduced to the shops as soon as you walk down Main Street, and you meet up with your friends in this orange area, and you all go off on your party quest and come home happy. Again, if you're approaching the hub world from this end of the map, so go up, through, same thing, just, other way, but, isolation is still sort of rampant here. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, rampant. Isolation here in the open market area. Look at that. It's an alleyway. Waste of space again. And this purple building here, which is a trainer's guild. Look at this. It's like a maze. You have to get through a maze to get to a job trainer. Seriously, you don't want to do that. But at least it's an improvement, a slight improvement on the previous example. I've eliminated the need for sort of segregating all the shops, just to make it look or at least seem cool, which isn't a good thing. It's never a good thing, unless that's what you want, and I'm pretty sure you don't want that. Now, I can actually leave these alleyways where they are, as they are, but to make sure that people find the open market and find the Trainers Guild, I would have to give them, in my last video, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, I would have to give them visual cues. I'm not going to explain that, because if you haven't watched the second video, you should go watch part 2. So visual cues will sort of tell the player that this is where the open market is, or this is where the Trainers Guild is. But at the same time, because of all the activity that's going around in an RPG or in an MMO game, no one's going to see a little teeny weeny sign, unless you make it a massive sign, in which case that's more texture work for the artists. I don't know, they might like to do that. I don't know who would want to paint signs all day, but yeah. Sometimes that's the only way to do things, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. So how do we get rid of this isolation problem here? We make another map. Actually no. Follow your design. Follow your design as close as possible. And if it does mean that you have to sort of put in that level of isolation, then I guess you have no other choice. Just make sure your level designer or your director knows what he or she is talking about. So here we go. We've eliminated the problem of isolation almost. We've almost eliminated it completely. So imagine yourself sort of entering the scene from here, walking down, shop straight away. All done shopping? Cool. Look at this, open market. No isolation there. If a player has something that I want that's, really cool, like a plus 12 strength warhammer, that's cool. I want that. Move along. And I find my friends waiting for me, that's cool. And we might just decide to go off and ignore the training areas. Sometimes you won't need to go to a trainer, but it's useful knowing that they're there. Again, visual cues. It might not be important right now, but definitely at a point in time later on in the character's story, they will need to go into this building or into this area, this purple area here. Now I've sort of divided them into two just to sort of account for class tiers. So, like stage 1 warrior or stage 57 archer or something like that. So your low class tier jobs will come from here, and your higher tiered jobs will come from here. Again, there's no waste of space. I guess this area here is a waste of space a little bit. Actually, that's a lot of wasted space because it's just open. But I guess in terms of theme, you might want to make this building look important, and in that case, this sort of courtyard, I guess, looking area would fit it pretty well. So really, I don't really have much more to say other than don't waste your space and don't isolate areas, and please, watch the second video again if you don't understand it. Use visual cues to guide the player and give them the impression that this location, this particular location or this building is going to be important if it isn't important already. Cool. So now that you've learned how to sort of design a decent, or at least learnt the basics of designing a decent MMO Hub map, I am going to leave you guys for a couple of weeks, for 4 weeks, 5 weeks actually, because I will be working on a few major projects. But when I come back, I will be creating a multiplayer map, a small multiplayer map from concept to final render. That includes lighting, textures, and a little bit of programming, but not too much. So until then, subscribe to my channel and like this video so that I know that I can make more. But until I see you guys in 5 weeks, I'll see you later. Bye.